So our first topic that we were going to be talking about was dynamic search, quick filters, and quick collections. And I know that you know our product inside and out as our chief architect, as well as how it precisely works. I had opened up search just to get us started. Could you maybe give us a highlight or two of some of the things in search here that you think are really useful?
Okay, yeah, so obviously the way that search work that is different from the way it used to work is that it's integrated with quick filter. So instead of having this little bit of a extra rating bar, etc., inside search, you can now open the quick filter bar and then combine your searches together with quick filter. So for example, you can say search for rich and then by a rating and then just show the 5-star pictures.
Yep. So I did a search there, and then ratings and labels, I could narrow that down and get less. Yep.
Right.
Or I could type my full name in if I was searching to get a smaller result there of pictures. There we go. Yep. And so there's some pictures that I had taken or was tagged in, and there could be other things at play here. It wasn't just me as a person, but that's where we could also combine that, right, with a person filter too.
Yeah, that's correct. So obviously, if you search for Richard Harrington, that's also going to look into caption and title and file name, etc. Where over here it's just going to then filter based on face tagging. The other thing that we changed in search is we used to show OCR results as a part of the main search panel, and that created a lot of noisy results. So we actually split that up so that OCR is now at the bottom here. So if you scroll that down, I don't know if you have actually.
I'm just going to type in a word in that would show some OCR results.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, and then so you'll see those text in photos would then only contain it if we can find the characters it's inside the document itself.
Yeah, because like if I was searching for the word eagle, I probably would want the animal eagle or something else. But in my case, I also do a lot of work with the Scouts program. So I have Eagle Scouts in my life, and I've visited Times Square, and we have American Eagle Outfitter over here in a store. And so, you know, that you may not want that result just mixed in with your folders and keywords and AI recognition. So we sort of deprioritized OCR by moving it into its own category of search results, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
The other thing that we did for search is we realized that it used to be very clumsy to go between a search view and a different view in Mylio, where we've now made it pretty simple. So for example, can you search for rich again?
Yep, I'm getting my system's being a little cranky on me, Dion. I might let you drive here to the screen in a second. It's having performance anxiety. I'm getting my Mac being cranky on it. So give me 1 second.
Okay.
Would you like me to present instead?
1 second. Yep.
Okay.
Let me just bring it back up. My drive was deciding to do a big old index right now for some reason, and it's being cranky, but I'll let you drive it a second, JC, if it doesn't come back up. All right, so I'm bringing search view back up, and let's share the screen. Okay. So you were saying, Dion, that search view is its own view, right?
Yeah, so search view is now its own view rather than just a result view. And you can switch back and forth between search view and the other view. So for example, if you're in search view, let's say you search for rich again.
Yep, I'm going to let you go, JC, because mine's just being cranky here.
I also have one available.
Okay, go ahead, JC. Go ahead, Dion. So there I am. I search and I search for rich. Okay.
And then, for example, let's say you want to see this in an all photos view. So you can just right click on one of those images, say show in all photos, and it will repeat it, but now you're inside a different view. You can go ahead and for example, now create an album out of these, like select all, create an album, etc. However, the nice thing about search view is you can now immediately switch back. So if you click back on the search view, you're back to where you started. So it used to be that if you switch between search view and another view and you go back to search, then the search restarts from the scratch. But we now have the position of where you were inside search, and we'll take you back into it.
Yeah, and I really like how that's working because it just makes it simple to keep coming back to those search results. So as you're building an overall search and you're finding something, that could be quite helpful. And remember, everything is branchable. And so as I start to do searches and I see different points in time, like, oh, I went on vacation with my family, where was that? I can just take that picture and go view that in the calendar. And now there I am to that vacation. So you can use a memory to find things very quickly. And there I was on April 1st. And if I go up a level, then I'm going to see that whole week. And I can see the rest of the things there from that trip. And so it just makes it really simple as you're navigating to be able to see all the content as you come across it. Now, in this case, I didn't make a true event. I'm just looking at the week. So it has some other things in here that are less relevant, but it has the different trips we went to, the museums, some of the places we went on that, and the animals we saw. And so one photo triggered that. But then I can go back and see, oh, here was this time we went to an amusement park. And I can click and again, see the rest of the pictures from that day. And it was a trip to Busch Gardens, which was a mixture of Sesame Street and Elmo and animals. And so I obviously enjoyed the animals that we visited more, while my children were much more of fans of Elmo and Cookie Monster. So it was a balanced trip like that. But, it's great to be able to see all those things in sort of one place with that ability to bounce between. Now, Dion, as we are doing searches or we are building filtered recipes, we can reuse those, and dynamic search also continues to sort of use that information, doesn't it?
Yeah, so depending on the search terms that you use and the search criteria and the form of the search, what we do is we will start indexing the data so that the next time you search for something similar, it's faster and it's customized for your own library and your own patterns. So if you always look in a specific folder, or if you look with a specific color or category, we will then index that directly after running the first search. So the first search might be slightly slower, but then the second search thereafter will have that information indexed into your personal preferences. And we try to learn dynamically based on your patterns.
Awesome. Awesome. JC, can I tag team to you here for a moment, or Dion, your screen for a second? And would you mind walking with Dion through a little bit on quick filters and quick collections while I just do a machine reboot?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what is it that you guys want me to go over? JC?
Quick filters. So just the ability of combining different quick filters to create unique views of your library, and perhaps a slightly deeper explanation that we usually give people on how quick filters works and what's happening behind the scenes when people select different filters. The fact that most filters are in addition they use the or rather than an and logic. So all that fun stuff.
Okay. Yeah, so if I go to, for example, a calendar view, let me go top level calendar, and I specify a quick filter here. What you'll notice is that one of the changes we did is we now have the ability for quick filters to impact more than just the picture zone. For example, if you have events in your calendar, we will now filter those out with a quick filter to say, like, for example, this filter only wants 5-star pictures, and this event has 5-star pictures. The other events will drop away. You'll see that the calendar covers that we have will drop down to only show 5-star pictures. And we actually do this throughout all views now. So one of the interesting things is if you go into all person view, and I go, sorry, this is a sparsely populated catalog, so there's why there's a lot of people without any pictures. But if I go here and I say by year, let me look at 1970s. So now I can see from a people view what everybody looked like in 1970. And we now, we will still respect it if you have a cover set and you don't have a filter and the cover is available, we'll show the selected cover. But otherwise, we will now show the quick filter cover if, as a result of the filter, that cover picture drops away, which is new behavior. So same people, 1970s, they can go to 1980s and get a view of what everybody looked like in 1990, 2000, 2010, etc. So this is new behavior for us, where we now actually update containers on quick filters as well, not just individual pictures.
And Neil, I want to point out that because you're in the same category of filter, in the same qualifier, when you click on the different decade, you're replacing the previous decade you had filter by. And that's because you're not pinning those filters, right?
Right. So this is just me browsing. So this is when you wanted to just browse information, like for example, here I'm just browsing 1970, 1990. I'm just clicking on the word itself, which means I'm not adding multiple filters. However, if you click on the pin, you can see that we have that filter, and then I can click on another pin. So now it adds, now you can see I have a combination here of 1990s images and 1970s images. And in 2000, and you get a little bit more. So these three are now added together, and that's because I hit the pin here instead of just clicking and browsing. So you have the functionality as you want to either browse or actually filter and keep those permanently. So and obviously you can combine the two. So for example, if I go to 2000 year and I go to rating year and I say, okay, show me four star in 2000s, now you have both of these. And to do that, I effectively pinned both. For rating label and flag, we don't have explicit pins because that's kind of like the only thing you'd ever want to do is pin them. Because generally it doesn't make sense to just scroll across ratings. You generally want to have them aggregate.
Yeah, it's more exclusive than other filters.
Yeah. So other interesting filters we have obviously is category, which is new inside. Well, it's not new, but we've built a new infrastructure based on category, which is workspaces. So workspaces is very much based on category. So when you click year for a workspace and you see, okay, I want to see my family pictures only, it is equivalent to going into year and saying, I want to show family pictures here. So the workspace does this, but the workspace does this in a way that you can say, only always run it for family. So you can see that the top of my category now says family. So as you switch into different views, it'll always stay that whether I have this quick filter enabled or not. And then of course you can put a pin number behind that so that you can't actually switch out of that family view regardless of what you do inside quick filters. But
yeah, and we'll be going we'll be going into great detail on spaces soon.
Okay, so other than that, for example, if you quick filters will either combine or it will it'll either be exclusive or in addition, depending on whether it makes sense for that quick filter. So, for example, in a quick filter like categories, if you click private and family, it makes sense that you want to have both of them combined. But in other quick filters, you generally just get one or the other one, depending on the type of quick filter.
So Dion, as a longtime user, one thing that I really appreciated when QuickFilters first came out, which replaced our previous filtering functionality, is that you can have different sets of filters on every view. So I can have a set of filters on my all photos view and be filtering by that criteria, and then switch to my folder view and then filter by a completely different criteria.
Yes, that is correct. So you can say that, for example, all folders, I just want to see 4 and 5 star, and then you go to folder view and say, okay, let me show red and green. And then if you click from the one to the other one, you can see that the filters here changes. But if you don't want that behavior, if for some reason you say, okay, I want to make sure, I want to keep the same filters across all views. Sorry, I have allergies. There's this link button. So the moment you say link, then no matter which view you go into, you'll see that that filter will remain the same. Versus if you take it off, then you can go into another view, change your filters, and then they'll be exclusive again. So it depends on the way you want to use it. Now, one of the interesting things is if you do search, so for example, if I go to search and I type, for example, birds, and I say, okay, the green label with a bird filter here. Now, if I want to go and look at this in another view, I want to go and look at this in folder view or in people view, probably not make a lot of sense, then it does make sense for me to say, okay, link this. So I have my bird green label, and then I right click, so in all photos view, and then I get the same bird green that transfers from search to all photos view. So then you can process it in any way you want. You can do multi-select, etc. And then when you're done with this, go back to search, and you're back to this view that you started.
So a couple more things that I'd like to cover. Obviously, we've been creating combinations of filters here. One of the ways in which this combination of filters is useful is that you can recall them later on by using what we call a quick collection. So tell us about quick collections.
Okay, sure. So if I have a particular filter set up, like let me start from a different view. Let's go into all photos, and then, for example, I'm going to start a 5 star, and I'm going to say 5 star animals. Okay, and then say maybe taken in the 2020s. So this would be my most modern 5 star animal pictures. So I can now save this as a quick collection, and I can say 5 star animals and save that. And now if I clear it and I go somewhere else and I come back, I can go and say, just apply it, and it'll immediately reapply that filter into any view that you want, or back to the original view that I have. And you can have as many of those as you want. Yeah, you just add it as a quick collection, set it up the way that you want, and then just save it as a new quick collection.
And it's dynamic, right? So if I have a quick collection and I add more photos to my library that happen to match the criteria for that collection, when I select that collection, those new photos are going to be in there.
Yeah, so let's say, let me switch 4 to 5 stars. So get a few more of these. So let me go take that guy, make it 5 star, take that guy 5 star, take that guy 5 star. So now I've extended the collections that I have, and if I now go back to quick collection, I can look those back up. So if I go 5 star animals, now you have the new photos that I've just added there. Yeah, of course, I've just changed existing pictures, but whatever you've added into your catalog would work the same way.
Great, great. Well, I think one question that we get in support often, and that a lot of people might have, is When do you use dynamic search versus using filter or a combination of filters?
Okay, so a filter is something that is persistent. It's think of it as a view on your library, saying this: I have this particular workflow in mind. I want to continuously look at my library with this filter in mind. And as you browse through the library, you want to have that filter remain there. So, for example, if I'm working on just um, like, for example, unrated pictures, I may take off all of my pictures and I would say, show me anything that's unflagged, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to go and pick my pictures that I want. So I would go into a unflagged mode and then maybe say also, okay, well, take anything that's already that has no stars and set that up. So that's because I want to now start working on my library. So that's the most common case for having a quick filter, because you want to have that quick filter be present no matter what else you do in the library. The case for search is, however, you want to find something. You want to change your entry point that you're looking at into a different view, into a different folder or into a different album, etc. So this, for example, what I'm doing now, it is possible to find an album like this, but it's not really the easiest thing in the world. I can go through here and say, okay, go and find an album called Niagara, go here, go to info panel, so into album. So now I'm inside my Niagara album, but that's not a great way to find the album. But it is technically possible with a quick filter. So it restricts your view, but it's for a particular workflow. Where with the find features, I just type in Niagara, and there it is right there. So if I click on there, that's my Niagara pictures. Now, obviously, quick filters have shortcut keys associated with that. So if you just press Control F, you go immediately to search. Sorry, I said quick filter, but Control F will take you immediately to search and to the previous search that you've done, and you're there and ready to do a new search. So if I type in dark here, okay. So let's go to that picture. What did I just do? And then you can press Control F again and add another search, etc., and repeat them one after the other. So there's a case to do for a filter and a case for a search.
I'd like to give an example too, guys. I'm going to share my screen because we have a question about newbies and beginners trying to use these tools. And you can be less advanced and still find things quite nicely. So to kind of get you started and understand how these things work, what I'll point out is just think of it as narrowing things down. So you're used to using all photos view where you have just a tremendous amount of stuff. And in my case, that's about 500,000 items. Dion, we built some sample quick collections here just to kind of help people out, right? Do you have a favorite here from the sample ones? I know you're not a cat person, but any of these others?
No, I think the cats are fine.
Okay, so if we say sharp cats, for example, it says, show me pictures of cats that aren't blurry. And so that's an example of using AI to narrow things down and get to those photos that contained cats. But then if you want to keep finding that, you can link those. And now as you move across and you look at things like your folders, it'll update here in a moment and only show you folders that had cats photos in them. And so that's that idea of being able to use a filter like that to narrow things down. So filters just kind of screen away the things that are not as useful to you. as you're kind of looking to find things is, I guess, the easiest way of thinking about it. So let me just switch over here. And so I'm going to pop that screen up and you'll see the same idea. So if I'm in all photos view and I want to just narrow things down using QuickCollections, I can really quickly say, hey, I want to find something from before. And so I've made one that said photos of me and my son smiling. And it's just, you know, selfies and smiling in this case, and that's happy people. And then if I keep going here, you know, we can make other custom ones here, you know, so you can start to choose these different recipes. Or, hey, I'm looking for things that came from just my 4- and 5-star photos. And so that's the idea, is just kind of whittling it down. And this is really WYSIWYG, right? So as we build a recipe, you just click and then you can save it. So if you were looking for best photos of something, maybe the best photos of 2022, you could just go in and make that recipe and say 4- and 5-star photos from the year 2022, and then save that and have the best pictures from the year. Dion, JC, do you have other tips for beginners on kind of not getting lost within this tool here? It doesn't have to be hard. It's all very WYSIWYG as you're building these out.
Yeah, just think about how you like to find your photos. How do you remember your photos? And it doesn't even have to include the quick filters. Just by using the different views in Mylio, you can very easily find photos based on how you remember. So if you remember when a photo was taken, you can go to the calendar view and go to a specific year, a specific month, a specific day, and find all the photos taken with that day. You can do that in the calendar view, or you can use filters based on a date, like we've been showing you with filters. If you remember where a photo was taken, you can go to the map view and zoom in on an area of the map and find a photo there.
Yes.
Specific photos of a person that's important to you. That's what the people view is about. So it's not just the filters that help you find photos and get to the photo that you want. It's also the different views that are part of the system that can assist you with that.
Well, and as I did a search there for the phrase Star Wars, you know, I'll just admit that I'm a nerd. You know, it's finding those two words and those are appearing, but it becomes relatively easy as I start looking through there to see activities. But then if I go back to that top level view, oh, well, this was even easier. It found it from when I visited this place, right? Oh, it looked on the map and said, oh, I went to Star Tours, which is a ride at Disneyland. And, you know, there's our friend C-3PO. And so now with just a click, oh, that must have been a day that I visited. I could just click and see the rest from that calendar. And there was that day that I went with my son and daughter, and we went on different rides with their aunt. And you see how simple it is there for us to find things very quickly by just tapping into one part of that memory. So you don't have to remember everything. You just have to find a starting point. And that's really the power behind search. We're going to be switching in just a moment to our next guest and talking about spaces and categories a bit more. But Dion, is there any other really useful things related to search or quick filters or QuickCollections that you think people should know about?
Well, I just saw a question on the forum, and specifically, how do I show my pictures from Poland or pictures of Janus? I only want to search my current album or my current folder.
Sure. So we could do that, right, by applying just a filter before we search.
Okay.
So if I wanted to look in a particular album, maybe I was only looking for pictures that I had shared with my folks through the years to their digital photo frame. I can apply that and go up to the top level of search results, and it's going to narrow that down. None of those contain the word Star Wars. That's why there's no results. So now I see, oh, I've shared pictures of these 11 people and these 180 photos, but then I could search within that, right?
Yes, that's correct. So I don't know if you have something
I could type in a name, and there's the 61 pictures I shared of Colleen from this album to my parents' digital photo frame from when she was a baby. So that made it simple to find. So that's kind of searching within something, right? Like filter it, and that works and kind of helps you clean it up. So you can just narrow those results down either at the very beginning or at the very end. Like maybe you want to say, I'm looking for pictures that contain, this one person in it. And so I could type my name, and then I could start to look for pictures that just have another person in it very easily. So once I did a search one way, I could then come down and filter for pictures that had me in it, plus my wife. And now I'm starting to get, more narrow results, and I'm getting much closer here. And you can do different combinations and ands and things like that. But that kind of helps, right? We can use these filters visually to really find what we're looking for. Was there another tip, Dion, that you had related to that?
Yeah, so we still have comments that somebody's saying they are already inside an album view, and they want to search based on that current context. So it's a little bit more of an advanced feature, but let's show that. So go to the same album view.
Yep.
I think it was portraits.
Which one was I open?
I think you were in photo frames.
Okay, photo frames, sure.
Okay, and then just do a custom search for the same word.
Sure, under quick filter?
Yeah.
Okay, and which word am I searching for?
I think you searched for a person name there.
Sure.
Okay, so does it give you a... Oh, is that all pictures of Colleen?
Those are not all pictures of Colleen, so I could have just filtered by her name, but she might not be tagged in all of those either.
I see.
But we can do a search by different criteria.
Yeah. Search for a specific file name, for example.
Okay.
Or the word Michael.
Sure. Yep. Or I can search, these are not well named, but I've got like IMG, so maybe I'm looking for a specific camera. There we go. And then we can pin that. Yep.
Okay, so I wonder.
You're doing an advanced thing and you're losing me, Dion.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So
I'll show you how I would cheat that. Like if I was in an album, I would just come down here to the if I was looking for a particular person, I would just click on that person's name here, and it would help me find it very quickly. So it would just narrow those results. So if I was looking for pictures of my daughter, there it narrowed it down to just pictures that had her in it from that album. Yeah, so I'm in that album and I filtered it to that.
Okay, yes, that would make sense. Maybe what we should do is we should have the ability to transfer your current album over to the search criteria. So with a shortcut key, maybe.
Sure, we can do that. Well, let me rephrase that. You could do that. And since that's a good feature request and you agree, I think we'll actually get that.
Okay, that sounds good.
Hey guys, we have a couple of questions that we'd like to answer live before we give the chance to Paulina to present. They're all related to QuickCollections and filters. One is, can you arrange items in QuickCollections, which sorting is based on views, but perhaps Rich or Dion, you can quickly.
What do you mean by arrange items?
Sorting. So you go to a quick collection and then you want to order those things on screen in a certain way, which is really a function of the view that you're in.
Yeah, you can change the sorting criteria. So if I applied a quick collection here and I wanted to see photos of me plus my friends, so me taking selfies with friends, I could then go in and sort that criteria. And I can sort by date or by file name or by rating and things of that nature. And so that would make it very easy to do that. And then, of course, you can always drop things into an album where you can drag and drop to arrange them in a custom order if you wanted to arrange them for a slideshow.
Great. Thank you. A couple of people have asked similar questions, so I'll combine them. The question is using logic operations for and or, which are part of dynamic searching more than quick filters. So if we can quickly show an example of using those operations, I think it would be helpful. And what's important to remember is that you can do a dynamic search where you insert that logic, or you can create a custom filter where you insert that logic.
Yeah, but I want to give a simpler answer here too, JC. I see Jackie, Jackie, I think you might be flip-flopping the purpose of filter versus search. So you're already within an album, and therefore you don't need to search. Search is to find a starting point. So if you're within an album and you're trying to find something within it, then you filter because you've already found your starting point. So you don't search within something. Search is across your whole library to find a particular item or a starting point. So since you're already in an album and you want to find something within that, then you're using filter to find something within that album or narrow down the results. That would be my suggestion. If you do want to use search, then just go the other way and apply it. But we can look at ways to start a search by pulling your current view across, but it really is a difference there between the two. And some people prefer filtering and some people prefer finding, and some do both. Was there one more question, JC?
I think the other thing that we can show is we do have a few views in Mylio that actually supports an explicit find. The one is map and the one is calendar. So if you go into calendar and do a find feature and look for one of those events. So this will now find that one particular item in the view that you have. And we are experimenting and doing this in other views as well, which is basically just navigate the view down to the item you're looking for.
Yep, and that would be the same with map view. You have a filter in map view to find a particular location. And then go to that location and see the folders from there. So that's a find. So we've introduced 3 different technical concepts there, Dion, right? Search across the whole, your whole library, filtering to narrow things down, and then finding something within a current view, which is a different operation than search.
That's correct.
Yes. So we have find in calendar and map view, and we're exploring adding find in other views as well. But you'll find that field for find, that was not intended to be that weird of a statement, at the top there. If you always want to see that in the calendar, if you don't want to use the shortcut, you could just go into the More menu here and turn on the Always Show Find Event, and then it will stay visible the whole time if you want to leave that popped up. Great. Well, we're going to be switching over to categories next. Dion, thank you for joining us. And if you have a moment and want to answer any of the questions in the chat pod related to things, feel free. And we really appreciate you coming out today. Dion's been the man behind the underpinnings of how all of these things work across the system. And thank you, Dion, for making all of those things so fast as we go looking for content. I hope you guys enjoy the ability here to really see those results better organized. And so remember, as you start to type, it's going to narrow it down. So, you know, when I searched by last name, I'm now seeing all my family members, for example, laid out. Or I can go in and see events or text. And as you do those things, it's going to keep refining it and making it easier and easier.